All right. This month we're talking about how to train properly and not just work out, which if all of you are here in coaching, we are here to train. Okay, that's how your protocol is is meant to be. So we went over this last month, but getting clear on like what are your goals? Because there is a really big difference between working out and training to build muscle and to build strength. And I do want to help you understand like really how to train in a way that you're getting the most out of your time because you're already showing up, you're already going to the gym, you're already taking that time out of your day. So we better be making the most out of it, right? So there's nothing wrong with either of them, but there is a difference. So training versus working out. So let's start with working out first. This is typically of just like moving our body. We're burning calories. We want to break a sweat. We want to feel good. We want to feel accomplished. There's really no plan for progression. There's not tracking any weights. We're kind of doing random movements, and exhausted typically means we had a good workout. So this can be a lot of workout classes, a lot of fitness classes. Like you want to move your body, you want to work out, but we're not actually in a structured plan to progress. And that is what training is. And that is the goal of your plan, your protocol based on your specific goals. So when we look at training, we are building muscle intentionally. We are increasing strength and weights. We're progressing our movements over time. We have a plan and we have structure that align with your goals. We are tracking weights, which I hope all of you know where that is in the app. And if you do not, let me know. And progress equals increased performance over time. Okay, that is the difference between the two. And again, nothing wrong with them. I love going to like workout classes and I love moving my body in fun ways. But when we have a very specific goal of, hey, I kind of want to grow my glutes, or I kind of want some shoulders, or just really want to gain strength and feel strong and capable and empowered, that is going to require a different intention of training. So again, your program is programmed out for training. Okay. We are progressing, we have a goal, we have structure, we have a plan, and that is the biggest difference between the two of them. So in order to build muscle, your body must be challenged little by little over time. So you probably have heard me say progressive overload. And what that basically means is increasing your weight. We're going to play around with like increasing reps, making sure your technique and your form is really good, controlling the movement, which we'll get into tempo and really what that means when you see that programmed, more total volume, and better range of motion. So progressing doesn't have to just mean getting higher in weight. It can mean a lot of things. Okay, it's not just adding weight every single week. But again, we just want to progress and perform better over time. That's moving the needle forward. So going over sets and reps. So first of all, I do want to point out small muscles, like if we look at them like little compact engines, they're not producing as much force as our large muscles, like our legs and our chest. So those usually do better with lighter weights and a little bit higher reps. And larger muscles, these are wow, talking today. These are our powerful engines, our primary movers, and they can lift heavier loads. Okay, they can push some weights. So those typically do better with heavier weights, fewer reps, looking at like the big movements like squat, deadlift, chest press, hip thrust. Okay, so there are different categories and they have different goals. So strength is probably the one you least see me program unless you really have this goal. So reps are from 1 to 6. We're really pushing weight and we have force behind it. And we could do anywhere from like 1 to 5 sets. So the goal with this rep range and strength is to build strength. So we're increasing our max strength, we're improving our force production, and this has a longer rest time of 2 to 5 minutes. Again, very few of you that I'm speaking to and am working with are in this category. There's a couple of you. So Second one is hypertrophy. This is where most people tend to be. The goal is to build muscle. So this is the best for overall muscle growth. So you're going to see reps from anywhere from 6 to 12, and sets can range from like 3 to 5 sets. So this is great for balance of weight and volume. It does increase metabolism because with building muscle, that comes with an increased metabolism, and the rest time is 30 to 90 seconds. So that's where most of us are going to be, especially when we're starting off. And the last one is endurance, 12 to 20 reps, 2 to 4 sets. The goal is to like resist fatigue. So this is great for accessory work. So going back to the smaller and larger muscles, when we're getting into our biceps and shoulders and our triceps, typically you're going to see there's going to be a little bit higher reps, but we still want to get close to failure. So you're still building muscle if you're getting close to failure, even with these higher rep ranges. So yeah, that's kind of the difference between those two. And you will see me, you've probably already seen me playing around with your reps and sets as we progress every 4 to 6 weeks. So I got 2 R's in here. What is muscular failure? So basically what that is you physically cannot complete one more rep with really good form. So if we have a goal of 10 to 12 reps, on rep 10, you're slowing down. 11 is a hard push, and on that last one, you can't even get it up. So that is going to failure. So we don't necessarily want to go to failure on every movement. For example, going to failure is not safe on things like squats or things that we have held up that we cannot physically get back up. That is going to cause some injury. But that is what failure looks like. So it is good to do this on more machine type of work or the accessory work. Like if you're doing lateral raises, or if you're on a leg extension or a leg curl, or you're doing any sort of machine work, you can really push to failure on this because you're not going to be harmed in the process once you get to that last rep that you can't get the weight to move anymore. And you're going to often hear me say too, like we want our last 2 reps to feel hard, but we shouldn't really be able to get like 2 more reps over. And I'm going to get into that a little bit later, but that is what it means to like train to failure. So why do we want to train close to failure? Like, why is this something that you hear me say all the time? It's because your muscles need a reason to adapt. So if a set is too easy, your body's not receiving enough stimulus to actually build muscle or build strength. So the closer you train to failure every time you go to the gym, the more muscle fibers your body recruits to complete the movement. And that is how your muscles grow. So if you have a goal to grow your shoulders, you need to be getting close to failure every time you're working those shoulders. Okay. You need to know how to engage them. You need to know like how to do that and what that feels like if you want those muscles to grow. So that is why tracking is really important. You can see the weights that you're using week after week, and you can start to notice like, this is actually getting pretty easy now, or, I have more in the tank after I'm finishing each set, or I've been grabbing the same weight now for like 2 months. Can I try to go heavier? And that is how we are going to progress and build muscle, build strength, grow the areas that you want to grow. It all matters. Okay. And that is the difference between training and working out. We have a goal and we are progressing every time we're going in the gym. Okay. So this is a new term, but like I was saying before, you've probably heard me say, I want your last 2 reps to feel hard. So if we have 10 reps, 8, 9, and 10 should feel hard, but getting to 12 should be pretty much impossible. Like 12 would be failure. Okay. So reps and reserves is basically an estimate of how many more good quality reps that you have before reaching failure. So I like to do the rule of like 2 because it's easy, but there is a lot of research with training that 0 to 3 reps in reserve. So if you have 10 reps, you should not be able to get to like that 13, okay? It's highly effective for muscle growth while allowing for better recovery than taking like every single set to failure. So it should be a push. It should be a struggle at the end of most of your sets. So that rule of having like 0 to 3 reps in reserve, gold standard. So if we look at this other side here, thinking of it like this. So if you have 10 reps, but you're like cranking out 15, you have 5 reps in reserve. That is way too easy, and you need to bring your weight up for that exercise. 3 reps in reserves, like it's comfortable. It's getting harder. 2, very challenging. Okay, we are pushing the weight. 1 rep in reserve is extremely hard, and obviously 0 is going until complete failure. We cannot get that weight back up, okay? Which you probably like experienced in those littler muscles like bicep curls. You're rolling and all of a sudden it's like stuck at the bottom and you can't get it up anymore. Like that is going to failure. But if the last few are really a challenge, that is considered those reps in reserve. So that's a really good rule of thumb. Every time you're training, really asking yourself, like, how hard am I pushing? How many more reps could I have done? Or am I pretty much gassed out after that using this weight? And that is how you know you have the right weight. So tempo is another thing that you guys see me program. You're going to see like 2, 1, 2 or 2, 1, 3. So basically what tempo is a speed that you're performing the movement. So instead of just going through the movements really fast, not thinking about it, flinging your body around, tempo helps us kind of like ground down and really focus on the movement that we are doing. So changing your tempo is going to change the time under tension. So if you were flying through your movements, just up, down, up, down, up, down. If I do a 2, 1, 2 tempo, that's immediately changing time under tension. Your muscles are working for a longer period of time because you're lowering slowly, you're pausing at the bottom, and then you're doing a 2-second coming back up to the top. Your muscles are working longer, and that's going to make the movement feel a lot harder. So it's going to make the exercise more difficult. It's good to practice muscle control and actually engaging the right muscles that we want to use versus using other body parts to complete the movement. It's going to help with technique and just overall better strength. So tempo is something you do see me program, and that is basically what it is for and what it means. I want you guys to really control the movements. And anytime you're questioning this, just good rule of thumb is going slower as you're lowering is better. Okay, it's better than going fast all the way down. So this is a good way for you guys to see this too with understanding tempo. So there are 3 numbers that you see programmed. So that first number, if we have a 2 and 2 tempo, that's the lowering phase. It's also called eccentric, but to make it easy, this is the lowering phase. So how many seconds to lower the weight? And this is the one that we want to be the most controlled, just for a rule of thumb. So if you're starting at a squat, your first number is the amount of time I want it to take you to get to that bottom of that squat. So 2 seconds on the lower. That second number is when we are static. Okay, we've reached that bottom of the rep. So basically, if you're seeing a 1, we want to hold that squat for 1 second at the bottom. And the last number is the lifting or concentric. So how long is it taking you to get back to the starting position? So we did a 2-second lower, pause for a second, and then 2 seconds to get back to that top position. So that is what the tempo means. And if we got a 3, 1, 2, we're lowering even slower. Okay, we have 30 seconds to get down. Maybe you're going to pause for 2 seconds, like at the top of a hip thrust or something. So that is what those numbers mean. So your muscles, this is a really good reminder for everybody, because I think this can be a mindset game a lot of the time. Your muscles do not know how much weight you're lifting, okay? You might psych yourself out in your head, but your muscles have no idea if you're lifting 5 pounds or 45 pounds, okay? All they know is the tension that they are experiencing, and that is why it is so important for you guys to really tune in and ask yourself, like, could I have done 1 to 2 more reps? Or could I have easily done 5 more? That is a really good indication of what your body can handle. And if your goal is to build muscle, to grow muscle, to get stronger, you need to know the difference between the two. And you do need to learn how to train. And this is a practice I have been lifting for, gosh, I don't know, a very long time, probably 10 years at this point, and I am still learning how to train. It is a practice over time. It is not always easy to go in there and push to failure, okay? I know that, but to understand the difference and know what that feels like is going to be what changes your body, what recomps, what helps you build muscle, build shape, and get to the goals that you want to get to. So the goal of this is we want to leave and complete every workout, leaving your muscles with a reason to adapt and come back stronger. If you're just taking your time, going to the gym, and that is okay if you're not feeling it, or if you're having a day that you're like, man, my energy is low, but I want to work out, I want to move my body, totally fine. But if you have goals, we need to learn how to train. Okay. And that is the difference. I do hope this was helpful going along with like coaching and what we've already been doing. But yeah, there's a huge difference between the two. And it's really important that we know it.